The passengers killed in the crash of Flight 5342 say the Army is not taking any responsibility. In a letter sent to the Secretary of the Army, they say other parties tied to the incident have been willing to cooperate, but the Army hasn't been very transparent. They claim the Army refused to release any unclassified document involving the Black Hawk safety equipment and was only released after a threat of a subpoena. The NTSB found the equipment was not transmitting in the helicopter when that crash happened.